Good morning, fellow gardeners. Well, we're inside today out of the rain, and hope you're out of the rain too. We have all been having rain, I know. But I will tell you, I will make a report that we have escaped all of the storms here where we're at in southern Oklahoma. Nothing tragic down here has happened. Up in the northern part of the state, it's not that way. The storms are vicious here in Oklahoma. But we're here this morning to talk about these wicking tubs. We're having some of our people out there that's watching us are having problems finding tubs. Some of them don't understand the concept of why you'd wick. It would be more simple just to go out and plant plants in the ground. But let me tell you something this morning. There is people that plowed their garden in the 1st of March, and they have not been able to walk out there in their garden. Now here it is, the end of May. We're starting 1st of June this weekend. So that's been 2 months. They have not been able to touch their garden. It's getting late to plant a garden, so why not have you some wicking tubs sitting on concrete or on the lawn or something that you can grow food in. This is the only reason. We're not telling you to quit your gardens. We're just saying it's getting where it rains so much in the spring we can't get in the gardens. Then the weeds take us over and you lose your crop. Anyway, so we're going to talk about these wicking tubs. So that's what we're here this morning for, and also talk about the fertilizers. We're having a little problem people finding the fertilizer they think they need, but we're going to make this simplified version this morning and see if we can help you. So we're talking about these wicking tubs. Why would we put a tub out there and make it wick? Why not just drill a bunch of holes in the bottom of that tub, put them in the bottom of this tub here, and just pour the water in and let it drain out? The gravity's going to pull it out the bottom. And then you'd have to go back and water again the next day when it gets hot. And sometimes you have to water twice a day. Well, most people are working 1 or 2 jobs, and they don't have time to water twice a day. And they're tired when they come in, and they don't have time to go out there and take care of it every day consistently. So what we can do, we can show you how to build these wicking tubs by putting some containers of some kind in the bottom of the tub that makes a false bottom, so to speak, that you can put the water in there, and it holds water about 5 inches deep, and you don't have to go water but about once a week. So what it's going to do, it's going to save you water by just putting all your water in there 5 inches up. This is your overflow. You fill it up till it's overflow, and then you stop, and then you've got 5 inches of water to feed that plant. It wicks it up as these roots are growing down. This water is wicked up to it through the soil, and you don't have to water but maybe once a week. Maybe a little more often than that in the hot summertime when it gets over 100. But we save labor. Instead of going twice a day to do it, we can do it once a week. So that means it saves you time, which you don't have a lot of extra time on your hand. You can get to these sitting on the yard or on the sidewalk or on the edge of the garden or the flower bed. You can get to these usually thing by walking on grass or concrete or gravel, whereas you can't get out in that boggy garden that's standing full of water. So this is one reason we want you to teach you about using wicking tubs. If you're in a apartment or you've got a balcony at an apartment that you can grow some of these on, you don't have a place to garden, so you can grow food in these. Some people say, well, why don't we just go to Walmart and buy our food and not go to all the trouble of building these tubs? You can do that too. One of these days you're going to wake up and food's going to be so expensive, you're going to say, I can't afford it at Walmart any longer. It would have been nice for you to learn how to do some of this gardening in the tubs, that you can grow your tomatoes, your peppers, eggplants, onions, strawberries, just on and on. You can grow you a little bit of food there at home. Lettuce and spinach is an easy thing to grow in the wintertime. And so that's what we're trying to encourage you to do, is grow a little bit of your food yourself. The tomatoes that come out of these containers are so much better than what you get out of a store that's been picked green, shipped 1,000, 1,500 miles, 2,000 miles, gassed them with a chemical to turn them red. They're not really ripe. They're just a green tomato that's ripe is the reason they don't have any taste to them. So okay, Jackie?
Is there anything that you cannot grow in a wicking tub?
Jackie's asking me, is there anything that you cannot grow in a wicking tub? I just don't know what it would be, because I've tried about many things. You can grow flowers in there, you can grow corn in there, you can grow okra, you can grow watermelons, cantaloupes, spinach, lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, just on and on. So I really can't think of a thing you can't grow in there. I know there's things we don't want in there, like the weeds and the grass, but you can even grow them if you leave it alone and don't pull the ones out that come in volunteering there. They'll grow also. But yeah, there's about anything you want to grow that you eat, you can put in there, or the flowers. You can refer back to a lot of these videos. We already have, I think, about 24 videos out that you can refer back to on different things. One of them's on flowers this last few days. You can grow beautiful flowers in there. Food is just wonderful, and we'll take you and make some videos this afternoon of the tomatoes that's getting ripe, okay? We'll get in out of the rain in the greenhouse this afternoon. Okay, so we want to use that wicking so that we can save all this labor and time and water. Now, I know right now everybody has plenty of water, but let me tell you, when it gets into summertime and it's 110 to 120, 130 degrees, all of a sudden that fresh water vanishes, and we're short of water, and so we need to conserve our precious water as much as we can. And that's the main reason for this wicking tub, to hold this water instead of let it drain through on the ground. More yield. Urethane, you can get more yield in a container that's wicking than you can out of a container that you just drill the holes in the bottom of. And I will tell you now, if you've been one of those persons that's guilty of drilling your holes in the bottom of the tub, and that's the way you're gardening for the last few years, all of a sudden you find out about us, how we're wicking, and you want to change over to that method, you can do that very easily. All you do is pour your potting soil out on the ground or in another tub container. Then you line this container with plastic. You cut your plastic in a round circle about 6 inches diameter more than what the bottom of the tub is, so that you've got 6 inches here and 6 inches here that you can turn up inside of that tub, and that stops these holes up down here. You're going to have your plastic up to this hole here, and so then you can hold this water in here. You can put your containers in here, which are milk jugs we're telling you, or we're telling you the metal cans that the cafeterias at school have, they pour the food out of, or at the cafes. You can get a hold of some kind of containers. I know there's been a few people ask, well, are those metal containers, are they going to be safe to use in there for your food? There was food came out of them at the school, so the kids eat the food out of the cans that's been stored in there for a year or 2 or 3. So if it's going to be safe for those kids to eat the food out of it, why wouldn't it be safe to set in here for a reservoir for your water? Same thing with your milk jugs. Your milk, you drank it out of it. The soda pop bottles, you drank the soda pop out of them. So if it's going to be safe to drink out of them there, why can't you put them in here and use them for your water reservoir? I know there's a lot of people says the plastic is not good for you, the cans are not good for you. Those people, we're not trying to encourage them to quit their gardening in the weedy soil. We're trying to find the people that wants to get out of that weedy soil and grow something in a wicking tub where it's not so muddy. So I'm not saying you have to use a wicking tub. We're just trying to help those people that do want to do something like that. Okay, more yield. Now, people are asking you, when do you water these tubs? I know you put it in this funnel here down this pipe and fill it up till it runs out that hole. When it runs out that hole, guess what? It's time to stop putting water in there now, because that means the bottom of the tub is full of water. So we stop doing that, okay, when it starts running out that overflow pipe. Now, when do you go back and put water in it again? You don't have to do it tomorrow. You can wait a week and put it in there down again. Remember now, every time we put water in this funnel, we put fertilizer in that water. 1 teaspoon of some kind of food goes in every gallon of water that we put in this funnel, down this pipe, until we get it running out again and it's another sign you should stop putting water in it. Okay, so we're just going to do this about once a week. Now, except in the hot summertime, when it gets up above 100 or 110, and your plant, instead of being a little short, fresh planted plant, now it's 5 and 6 feet tall with tomatoes or peppers all over them, then it's going to, the bigger the plant, the more they're going to drink. Same way with the people. The larger the person, they're going to drink more water than just a child. And we know that. So when the plant is small, we're going to use some water. When the plant gets big, we're going to use more water. So this common sense would tell you you're going to have to go water more often. Same way with since it uses more water, it's going to get its more food as it gets bigger because you have food in that water constantly, and it will go get what it needs. All right. How much water? There's not a set amount. You just put it in until it runs out that hole, and it's time to stop. Okay. Now another question lots of people are calling me about, and I appreciate you calling and being concerned about your questions. I want to try to help you do it right. I don't want you to get out there and do it wrong and get discouraged and not want to do any more gardening. We want you to have fun with this and enjoy picking this bountiful fruit and vegetables that we are helping you grow. Everybody's calling about the fertilizer. Yes, I put on there what I was using. I was using this fertilizer right here. I was buying a 4-18-38 and a 10-52-10, and I was mixing these together. I'd mix a pound of this and a pound of this together in a sack, and then I would scoop out a teaspoon of that fertilizer and put in my water for every gallon of water I put in. And it's hard to find this 14-70-48. So let me tell you, all fertilizer is fertilizer is fertilizer. There's 3 letters on fertilizer. N, P, K. N stands for nitrogen. P stands for phosphorus, and K stands for potash. That's basically what all fertilizer that you go buy is represented by. There'll be 3 numbers. There'll be like a 13-13 or a 20-20-20 or a 10-55-10. Just there's all kinds of different numbers. So what we're going to try to do is show you some other things that you can do besides having to try to go find this that you can't find, because not everybody does this. So what we're going to tell you to do is you can go get you some, when we fill in the buckets now, remember, we put soil up to about middle ways, and I'll tell you to put a fertilizer in there. And what I put in is a 4-6-4 Sustain, which is an organic fertilizer. You don't have to use Sustain. That's just what I happen to have that's readily available for the organic gardeners. And so this is what we sell as a 4-6-4. You can go to any farm store, chain store, box store. They're all going to have fertilizers if they have a garden center attached to them. This right here is available at any store you go to, nearly anywhere. Miracle Grow puts out a fertilizer, water soluble now. This is what you can mix in with the water. Now we're going to step back a step. When you're starting putting this fertilizer in, you can use a granular like a 13-13. You can use my granular 4-6-4. Or you can go get something else, some 10-10-10. Any kind of fertilizer to put in, it's a granular. Put it in there, or you can go get some slow release fertilizer. It's a little yellow pellet that water dissolves it. Go get you some some of that and put in there. Osmocote, that's the name of it, I'm sorry. Get you some Osmocote and put in there. It's slow release. Walmart will have that Osmocote. Any of the chain stores, box stores will have that Osmocote. It's a slow release. It'll come in some straight numbers of some kind. It doesn't really make any difference whether it's 13 or 20 or whatever.
Question.
Got a question from Jack.
What you're talking about putting the fertilizer in the container, in the tub. Are you talking about
Okay, I'm kind of jumping, I know, going back, but we're talking about this granular fertilizer as we're filling this tub with soil. Remember, you put your 2 containers in, or ever how many containers you need in there. Usually thing in one of these big wicking tubs, there's usually about 7 or 8 of these gallon jugs or buckets in there. Because what you want, let's go back to this tub a little bit, you're wanting to eliminate about 80% of this soil here touching the ground. See, we're eliminating soil touching, the bottom of the pot. There's no soil can touch here nor here. The only soil can touch in this tub is what little bit's right down the middle. And that's about 20% of your 80% of the 100% of the bottom of the tub. I hope I'm explaining what you're saying, but anyway, you just need a little bit of soil right in there to suck this water up through here to this plant. Okay, when you're filling this up with soil, first thing you do is fill this up with soil here, then you put your, up to about here, and you put your fertilizer in, whether it's triple 13 or my 464 sustain, or if it's the Osmocote, the slow release, put it in the soil right along in there, about middle ways down. Then finish it on up, filling it full of soil. Then you can either plant your plant, or you can go water this up and fill it up with water. But after you plant this plant then you need to water in from the top, because if you leave this soil dry, this water will not wick up through that. You have to put this plant in the ground and then water in around this plant for the first 2 or 3 weeks. You're going to water it every other day or something like that, so that we get all of this soil right through here with moisture in it. And once you get moisture in this, then this will wick up through here into that soil there. But you can't have moist soil here, dry soil here, and moist here, and this wicking system work. We must get this soil right in here wet also, and so you pour your water in around your plant and let it pour down through here, getting this soil moist. And then your wicking system will take over and start doing the wicking. So now then, we do that granular as we're building the tub. That is the only time we put that in for this season. Now next season, which it can be either this fall, or you may wait till next spring to do your tomatoes and squash and stuff like that. But if you're going to do lettuce and broccoli and cauliflower this winter, which we call the next season, then we got to go back and put some fertilizer in. I'm not asking you to dig this soil out. I'm going to say just come back in and scatter you some of that granular fertilizer all around this tub, around this plant. Just don't put it right at the base of your plants. Try to stay away from it a little bit to give it a chance to get the root system started hunting for fertilizer before it gets out into that fertilizer, because once it gets to that fertilizer, why put any more roots out? Let's just sit here and eat. So we want it to be a little bit hungry, trying to find a place to put roots to get some more food and water. Okay. Then we come back and we put our granular fertilizer up here on the top, and then we go back and we mix our fertilizer 1 teaspoon per gallon. Every drop of water we put into this funnel must have fertilizer in it. Okay, so we pour it in there until it runs out the hole, and we're on the road again, growing another crop. Okay, now then, what do we need to cover about? Okay, going to get fertilizer. We told you about going and getting the triple 13 granular, or go get the 464 or something like this that's granular. Now then, and that's what you put in here. Now then, we're going to talk about here and here. We're talking about the fertilizer you put in this funnel to put in the water, and the next time you refill this, you got to have more of it. Next time you refill it, you got to have more. So this is what we're going to talk about. Yes, it's hard for you to find this here 2 fertilizers, this 41838 and the 105210. Now, if you went to a farm store or a fertilized company, they would have something similar to this. This is still just NPK, 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 nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. What we're trying to tell you to do when you first start watering these plants in as their babies, we want nitrogen in that soil to grow the plant. This grows plants. Nitrogen grows plants, the green part of it. The phosphorus is what's going to put on the blooms and the roots. You want more blooms later on, not right now. So when we put the baby plant in, we want to give it more nitrogen than we do phosphorus. See here, I've got 10 parts per million on the nitrogen. I only have 4 parts per million on the phosphorus and 3 on the potash. I want a little bit of phosphorus and potash, but I want mostly nitrogen for the first 3 weeks to the month that you grow that tomato plant or that pepper plant or that cucumber or squash or okra, any of them, watermelons, cantaloupes, cucumbers. Okay, so we want to start out with more nitrogen, urethane, than we do the phosphorus. Of course, I'm going to go tell you to get the 20-20-20 because it's kind of hard for you to find a setup like this 10-4-3. You might find a 3-1-1 or something would work, but this is easiest to find. This is what they put out there, which is balanced to make it easy for everybody. It's not the way we tweak plants making more fruit. We want to tweak it by using more nitrogen, or at least using this starting off, just the 20-20-20. You can get by, that's enough nitrogen, and it won't hurt for you to have a little bit of phosphorus extra in there, and it won't hurt for you to have the potash. So go get this 20-20-20 at your local store somewhere, Walmart, chain stores, box stores, fertilizer companies, garden centers, anything that's got some good amount of nitrogen from 10 to 20 parts per million. Okay, when that plant gets 2 to 3 to 4 weeks old and you start seeing some little blossoms come on that little plant, it's time for you to start putting more phosphorus, the P, the center number right here I'm talking about. Now we need more phosphorus. So I'm going to tell you to go back to the farm store or to the box store or to Walmart and get a bottle of this 10-55-10, or it might be a 8-52-8, but you see how much higher this center number is than your nitrogen. We got to slow down on this nitrogen, because if you don't and you keep putting lots of nitrogen and not much phosphorus, you're going to grow all plant and not have much blooms. There's people comes in to me and says, Leon, I've got something wrong with tomatoes. I filled that thing half full of cow manure, and I got a plant that's 6 foot tall and I don't have 3 blooms on it. What's wrong? Well, cow manure has lots of nitrogen. So what happens? That nitrogen is just grew that plant 6 feet tall, but there's no phosphorus in it much. And so it's, it would probably, if you looked at that analysis of that cow manure, it would probably be like 30-5-3. Well, see that high nitrogen, it'd be 35-5-3 or something like that, or maybe 30-5-3. You high nitrogen. That's going to grow you nothing but foliage. Now let me tell you, gardening friends, there's nothing wrong with using high nitrogen if you're growing lettuce or spinach or broccoli or cauliflower, something that grows a foliage. The lettuce and the spinach, you're after the leaves, you're not after a fruit. So you can put the high nitrogen, and you can buy at Walmart, you can buy a 30-10-10 in a bottle that you can put on your plants to grow your foliage if you want to grow a lot of foliage. Okay, but what you want to do is get you one that's got a high center number. If you're using this 20-20-20, that's okay. Keep it on hand. Don't throw it away. And by the way, they ask me whenever I get to this point and start wanting to use a lot of phosphorus instead of nitrogen, do we pour that back out? No. You don't ever pour those tubs out. Leave the fertilizer in there. Don't waste it. Just go back and start adding you some higher phosphorus than you do nitrogen. Now, what I'm suggesting you go do is go get you some of that 10-55-10 or that 8-52-8 and put a half a teaspoon of each one in. See, when we add these two together, look here, we have a 30, 75, 30. We have more phosphorus than we do nitrogen. We have a good amount of nitrogen, we have a good amount of phosphorus, so this will work just almost as good as what I do over here. See, I have a 4-18-38 and I add a 10-52-10, mix them together and take a teaspoon of this together. You do the same thing here. When you add them together, you take a teaspoon and put it per gallon. Here I've got a 14, 70, 48. You see kind of the difference? 30, 75, 30. See, this if this was down here about 30, 75, 50, I would be more happy. But you can't really get this. This is as close as you're going to get if you go to the chain stores or the box stores. I'm just trying to tweak my setting of blooms by putting more phosphorus on and more potash than I do nitrogen, if you see what I'm talking about. But this will get you by. You'll grow lots of fruit like this. This is, I'm just tweaking it a little better by doing a little bit different thing. But you can ignore this and use this and still make a lot of food. Thank you for watching. If you like it, punch the button, ring the bell, subscribe, and we're going to put you on some more videos.